This is Richard Marquez. Welcome to Chuy's Education Corner. Today I want to talk to you about going into the business of education. Things have gotten so negative as it relates to schools these days, and so it really pushes a lot of people away from thinking about it. But in reality, it's a great profession. It's one that you will enjoy. It's one that if you really get into it and you have the mindset for it, it'll be very rewarding. And yes, it has all these things that people are going to tell you that just are not the greatest things in the world. But let me tell you, having taught my God, I can't even say it so long. It's extremely rewarding. It's very rewarding. But you have to be ready to be successful on day one. Because if you're not successful on day one, your experiences turn negative. And that's where the problem comes, because you scramble and you start looking for ways to improve, and that's when people start looking at leaving the profession. So the real work is to make you successful when you walk in that classroom on that first day. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. To make you successful when you walk in that classroom on the first day. You know, there is a way to teach human beings, and it's well documented, and there's a scientific approach to it. People talk about teaching being an art, and it is. It's an art for the people who have been doing it for a long period of time, and it becomes second nature to them. But to most of us, it had to be a science first. One of the craziest things is the day I had to write my first lesson plan. Well, in those days, we didn't have all the technology and all the things that you're going to have today. And school districts didn't write those lesson plans for you. You had to write them yourselves. Many school districts now, their curriculums are all come with lesson plans already laid out for you. And that's a good thing. But you still have to figure out what to do and what the expectation is. So let's talk about how it all begins. First, you have to decide what it is you're going to teach the kids. And if you look at these modern day lesson plans, they'll lay it out for you. They'll say these are the things that are expected. Look for the things that say that students are supposed to be able to accomplish something, do something when they finish. Because those are the skills that you want to impart on them. It's not all about knowledge. Knowledge has its place, and there are basic knowledge things that every human being needs to know. But it's really more about what you're able to do, and that's the serious aspect of it. So you have to begin with the understanding that what you want your kids to do is a real critical component to write a good lesson plan or to get your plans ready for the students. The student is going to accomplish, the student is going to be able to, the student is going to demonstrate, the student will be able to select the appropriate choices, the student, all the things that have action where the student can actually demonstrate to you that they've actually learned what it is you're trying to teach them. A good example is, how many of you have ever constructed something, and you took the plans, and then you started trying to build it, and then you found out that you made a lot of mistakes along the way? Well, when you finished it, because you'd done all that work, and because you'd failed and you'd succeeded and you'd done all of that, you had the ability to tell somebody else how to go about doing it and actually show them, because you had accomplished it yourself. So you learned something, but you learned certain skills that you didn't have at the time. It's like changing a tire. If you never change the tire, you're going to have fun. And so, but once you accomplish that task, all of a sudden, you'll be able to actually help somebody else learn how to change the tire. So it's the imparting of skills that is much more important than anything else in terms of what it is you're trying to teach your kids. So the first thing is, lay out your goals. What do I want the students to do? What do I want them to be able to accomplish? So once you lay those out, the next thing is write your test. If you know what you want, if you know what it is they're going to be able to do, then you can sit down and write your test. And it's kind of funny, people always say, you know, we teach to the test. We have to teach to the test. The irony is teachers have been teaching the tests forever. Otherwise, what are you teaching to? And what's your end result? Where are you going? So lay out your test. You'll find that if you lay out your test and you establish your goals, the rest all begins to fall into place. What you want your students to do, you have to demonstrate for them. You know, I've got to show you. If I want you to accomplish a task, then I have you walk you through it and give you an example of it. So that's the next step. Once I set up my goal and I know my test, then I know what I have to teach you, and then once I know what to teach you, then I know what I need to do to demonstrate for you so that you can do it on your own. It's really the issue of teaching you to be independent eventually as a student. But that's the important piece. Demonstrate to the students. What you'll find is many times the confusion comes when the kids don't know what to do. And you see it all the time. They'll sit there and they won't say a word. And you walk up to them and you'll say, "Why aren't you working?" And they'll say, "I don't understand what I need to do." And that comes from the fact that the demonstration piece was not completely grasped by that student. So take a little time, walk that student through that expectation, show them again if you need to, so that they know specifically what it is you want them to accomplish. And then turn them loose. Once you know what it is they're supposed to accomplish, once they have what it is they're supposed to be doing, then they move on to their practice. Well, when you practice, you're going to be making mistakes along the way. So your task is to walk around and to monitor them and to support them and give them help if they run into a problem. It's not for you to sit down and wait for them to do the work. It's really for you to walk around, observe what they're doing, see if they're doing what it is you expected them to do. Because remember, at the end, if they don't learn that particular aspect, or they don't do a very good job on their practice, they're not going to do a very good job on your test. So look at the practice, monitor their practice, and then help them. And remember, some kids are going to need more help than others. Some kids are going to breeze through and they're going to do it. Well, don't let that kid sit around. If you have a kid who finishes and they did it correctly, don't let that student sit around and do nothing. Ask that student to help another student and to show them what it is they did and how they did it. You know, many times kids or humans can teach other humans better. Sometimes a kid can teach another kid as well. But you need to take advantage of the fact that when you have a good student in your classroom, you have to let that student help you, help the other kids. That's of great benefit to the student who who has that ability to help other children and is that bright because they learn everything deeper when they're trying to teach another person how to do it. So it's a great approach. But walk around, monitor your kids, check on them, and when you think they're ready, when you think they've learned what it is you're trying to teach them, then give them a quick little test. Not the whole test, just pieces of it, and check and see if they picked up on the pieces that you're trying to teach. If they look like they've done a pretty good job with it, then go ahead and give them their test. And at that point, if you've done a very good job with it, 85 to 90% of your class should be able to pass your test. That's why you heard me. I said 85 to 90%. I didn't say 100. That's a misconception. I don't care how good we are. There's always 1, 2 kids who are going to need more. And once we realize they're there, we have to set up different processes for them. And we have to give them the time they're needed. But we'll discuss that later as we move into those particular aspects of it. But that lesson plan is critical to you. It should have on it a time element. Everything needs to be measured. Everything has to have time. That's your time. You only have so much time to teach what it is you're trying to teach. They're going to give you 5, 6, 7 different classes that you have to teach. If you're in elementary, you're teaching everything. If you're in middle school, you're teaching for an hour, only an hour, yet you have to accomplish everything. Same thing in high school. So you have them for an hour. Well, how are you going to get all that stuff done if you don't lay out timelines for yourself? So every class period, every time the kids are working, you should know how long it's going to take them to accomplish something. If you're going to give a test, you should know how long that test is going to take. Don't just give a test and say, end of the class. Turn it in at the end of the class. You've just wasted a lot of precious time because the kids will finish in 15 minutes and then sit around and do nothing. Some kids will take the entire period and still didn't do any of the work. So what you need to do is you need to say, if the test looks like it's going to take 15 minutes, give them 18. Say it's, and that's the weird thing. Say you have 18 minutes to accomplish your test. The reason you use things like 18 minutes is because it sticks in their head. You go, all right, you got 18 minutes. It also makes you seem like you really know what you're doing if you can pinpoint how much time it takes to get a test accomplished or whatever the task is. And so you say things to them like, it should only take you 12 minutes to get this thing done. So go to work, and I'll let you know how close you are to the 12 minutes. And then we'll stop at that particular time, and then we'll check and see where everybody is. You'll find you'll get more productivity. And the reason you'll get more productivity is because you're actually holding them accountable to a time limit. And that's something critical that you need to do because you don't want to be wasting time. But the most important thing is you don't want them sitting around doing nothing because that's when you're going to get trouble in your classroom. That's when they're going to start creating issues for you because some of them are going to be bored. And some of them just don't have anything to do. And so the only thing they can do is talk to the other students, pick on the other kids, and all of a sudden you've got discipline problems. So lay out your time limits and keep them all busy. I'll be back.